I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager for Xiaomi Global. Today is exciting for a couple different reasons. First, this is our first official launch here in Romania. So again, thank you everybody for coming. Second, everything we're going to see on screen today was developed by me and my team. So it's actually a very, very exciting moment for me. The series we're going to be talking about today is the Redmi Note. Now, Redmi Note was really designed around three different types of users. There are people who understand performance, people who value photography, and above all, people who value value. Now we can kind of group those together as a single type of user. These are smart users. These are people who do research before they buy, and they want to get the very best product for their needs. And this has been pretty successful globally. So our very first global launch was the Redmi Note 4 a few years ago. And since then, we've iterated and iterated to create a better and better product. For some data points, it's been very well received by the media overall. Some key things that we hear really, really often is best-in-class value or hard to beat at that price point. And for some data points, globally, Redmi Note 5 was a top 10 bestseller. Redmi Note 6 Pro, we sold 600,000 in a single hour. Redmi Note 7 was #1 on GSM Arena for the first half of 2019. And in terms of sales, we sold over 20 million globally in just under a year. Now that's impressive, but for the series at large, we've actually sold over 100 million units globally. This isn't inflated in any way, shape, or form. This is individual activations. So with all that backing it, we had a lot to live up to. And in the very next iteration, we did a lot to improve. So I'm pretty confident we can say that this is going to be the return of the king. So let's jump right in. Redmi Note 8 Pro. Now, the most important thing to note about this product is that first off, it has a quad camera. But second, and most importantly, is a 64 megapixel sensor. Here in Romania, this is actually going to be the very first 64 megapixel sensor and the very largest of its kind. This is true in most regions globally. Quick summary of the hardware. So top to bottom, we have a depth sensor, the 64 megapixel sensor. Below that, a 120-degree ultra-wide angle sensor. And on the right-hand side, we've added a macro lens. I'll cover each of these in detail. First, and most importantly, the 64 megapixel sensor. Now, when people hear this, a lot of the times the first question they ask me is, why? Is this just marketing? Does this even really matter? Well, the reality of the situation is this will give you more detail than ever in your day-to-day photos. To give a frame of reference, you could fit a single 64 megapixel photo across 25 different FHD plus screens. A lot of you are holding those in your hands and pockets right now. Or across nearly 8 4K displays. Or even further, hypothetically, if you had 2 8K displays, you could display it on nearly 2 of those. Here we have 27 Redmi Note 8 Pros stacked up side by side, and one photo fills nearly all of them. If, hypothetically, you wanted to print a life-size giraffe, which would be nearly as tall as this room, you totally could, hypothetically. And that's actually just a very, very small section of a photo we shot in Africa on Redmi Note 8 Pro. You can see that even at a great distance, we're getting a huge amount of detail. Here, we have 3 different photos, each of them telling slightly different stories. But they're all part of a much, much larger whole. So every photo that you take is going to give you the ability to capture multiple different stories. Here in Tokyo, we realized that it could simulate another really popular effect in smartphones today. Typically, you'll see this in the form of 2x optical zoom. What 64 megapixels allows you to do is simulate this effect by providing more detail at a greater distance. Now this photo it's okay, really good angle, but probably not the best photo we've ever seen. But it's actually part of a larger whole. a much, much larger hole. This is what Redmi Note 8 Pro gives you with 64 megapixels. The ability to separate, to zoom, to offer multiple takes of a single photo. For comparison's sake, let's take a look at one of the other market leaders. What you can see here is we're offering more megapixels and, in fact, an additional camera. Both of these photos are pretty good. You can see on the left side's photo that there's a little bit of overexposure in the lighting, but we're talking about detail right now. So let's take a closer look. What you can see here is there's just a massive difference in the detail preserved. This might not matter in every day-to-day situation, but for your overall photography experience and for your ability to really focus on what you want, this is very important. And it's particularly relevant in situations where you need to catch a lot of different sharp edges, a lot of varying lighting, and a lot of different structures. Speaking of structures, it's great for cityscape situations, so you're shooting off your patio, if you want to capture details of individual buildings, or even the far greenery in the distance. This is the perfect camera for you. Next up, the macro lens. So for those of you who don't know, macro photography is the photography of things that you're very, very close to. Redmi Note 8 Pro gives you ability to get up to 2 centimeters away from your target and still focus. So this is actually a feature that's very, very uncommon in smartphones today. And beyond that, we're actually offering some features that basically no one else is right now. Autofocus and macro video. Overall performance has been phenomenal, and I've been really pleased with it. When a photographer showed me this photo, I wasn't quite sure what it was. This is actually the wing of a butterfly. I can imagine that was difficult to capture. Next, the 120-degree ultra-wide-angle sensor. So for those of you who don't know, basically what an ultra-wide does is give you an ultra-wide photo. In comparison, it's offering about 40 degrees more than the photo on the left, which is shot on the primary sensor. This really opens up your photo taking experience because it's not always possible to walk further and further away from your subject. And what it makes sure is that you get more detail, and not just more detail, but more of a story from your photo than before. You can see you can't even see this truck on the left-hand side. Next, portrait mode. So this has been around for a fairly long time, 2 years. But what we've done is advance our AI segmentation algorithm, so we do a much better job now of separating the hair, the fingers, complex details of the foreground from the background. Hair in particular is very hard, which is why we chose this next model. You can see that even with a very complex hairstyle, we've managed to capture really perfect background blur around the edges. Next, night mode. This is probably the thing that is most important in growing in smartphone photography today. We all know that a few years ago, no matter what phone you were shooting on, it was pretty difficult to shoot at night. So we're offering this 16 megapixel night mode. What this does is use the primary sensor and perform pixel binning, which we're calling super pixel. What that does is combine 4 pixels into a single pixel, meaning that you get a huge amount more light in every individual aspect of your photo. And actual performance has been pretty phenomenal. We shot this in Tokyo. You can see there's some really crisp blacks up near the top, but some really varied and accurate colors down near the bottom. One of my teammates took this in Russia. A lot of details around the tires, the reflections really crisp and clear. We shot this in China. What I enjoy most is the light trails on the road. But what makes this photo great is how accurately it captures the different colors of the buildings. To give you a comparison, up next to the competitor, you can see that one of the issues with night photography on other phones is that they tend to overexpose the sky in order to give you a brighter photo. But this leads to a photo that isn't really true life. Let's take a closer look. See that there's a huge amount of difference in the amount of noise in the tower. Pretty phenomenal. I'm very happy with Redmi Note 8 Pro in night photography. Next, slow motion. So this is the slowest slow motion that we've ever offered on a Redmi series phone. For those of you who don't know, the higher the FPS is, typically the better it is as far as slow motion goes. A lot of popular models today are offering somewhere in the 300 range. Let's take a look at how it performs. So I was there for this product shoot. Terribly messy. Thankfully, I didn't have to clean up. Now, for days like today, or days when you're traveling and you happen to get caught by bad weather, and let's say you only have 2 days in the city, you really want to get some really postable photos for Instagram. So this photo is pretty solid, but what AI skyscaping will allow you to do is intelligently adjust the background, add clouds, add sunrises, and change colors. This is all done on the phone. You don't need any other software, and it's totally optional. So to sum it up, really what we're offering with the rear camera is 4 cameras that cover any situation. Let's take a look at some snaps really quickly. So here you can see we didn't over smooth in the face, we preserved a lot of detail in her hair, in the roots there, and the background there. We've actually managed to still keep a good degree of texture and a realistic blue. Here we've got a really cool foreground bokeh, but the background is incredibly detailed. You can see individual strands of her hair at a pretty high distance. Here again, there in the reflection, we've got a lot of detail, but we've also got this really subtle bokeh going on the left-hand side of it. This is Xiaomi headquarters. My office is somewhere in and around the left there, about halfway up. Now, part of our goal with our products is always to keep it down to earth, keep it being what the user needs. So to really test our products, we've been working with our Mi fans. So this guy, Chris, out of the UK, he was a Mi fan formerly, and we passed him the phone to see really what he could do with Redmi Note 8 Pro. And we've been super pleased overall. You can see here that he managed to capture just like an insane amount of detail in the water there, and a really nice gradient in the sky. This is probably my favorite photo of his, but it actually comes as part of a 2-part series. So he's really resonating with our whole more than one story angle. We're looking for somebody to fill this product or this role in Romania, and we're hoping that we get in touch with a Mi fan really, really soon for this. So, what we're offering is more ways to shoot. That's the simplest way I can put this. This camera is going to be ready for basically any situation that you could encounter. Turning it over for you selfie experts out there, we've included a 20 megapixel front camera. This is backed by our suite of AI technology, which makes it easier to snap perfect shots, basically anytime. And we're also including 2 of our new features, panorama selfies and palm shutter technology. Palm shutter allows you to take a selfie with just a simple motion. And overall performance has been pretty great. Pretty true to life, no over smoothing, very accurate actually. Now for the sake of convenience, we've added AI face unlock. So it's smart, it's secure, and it's really simple to use. With all this backing it, I can say this with basically no misgivings. I'm pretty sure Redmi Note 8 Pro is going to be the mid-range camera king. There's not going to be anything else in this segment that really compares. Huge amount of technology backing it. So we're pioneering 64 megapixel. We put 20 megapixel in the front, backed by a huge amount of AI technology. And we've got 4 cameras for any situation. Macro, depth sensor, ultra wide. But it's also going to be design royalty. Now the easiest way for me to talk about design is actually to show you. So let's take a look at a product video. super cool video, really resonates with what we're trying to do with this product, the audience that we're appealing to. Probably the most obvious thing in that video is the really unique coloring. So first off, we're going to be offering this in a forest green coloring. It uses a linear light reflection technology, so you get a really cool gradient from side to side. For the more traditional users out there, we'll be offering it in mineral gray as well. And for people who are the complete opposite, it'll be available in a really cool pearl white. Turning the device over, it's going to be offering an impressive 91.4% screen-to-body ratio. So for anybody who doesn't really know, this is fairly uncommon even in flagship phones from competitors today, and basically unheard of in the mid-range. We've done this by narrowing the top and the side bezels to just under and just over 2. And we've further reduced the size of the chin using technology we pioneered in our Mi Mix line called chip-on-film. What this does is fold the LCD chip on the back of the display so that we don't have to raise the chin height. We've also, for the very first time ever in a Redmi Note, been TUV Rhineland certified. So we've got a blue light filter that's perfect for maintaining a really healthy sleep and eye health. Huge amount of technology in the display. Most importantly, it is an LCD display, it's FHD+, and most importantly for me in particular, it's 500 nit brightness, meaning that it's really, really easy to read even in direct sunlight. Front and back are both made of Corning Gorilla Glass 5. This means it's incredibly resistant and resilient when it comes to daily wear and tear. We've curved it on all 4 sides and added a really glossy frame that's both easy to hold but really smooth in your hand. And speaking of in hand, for those of you familiar with the industrial design concept, we've used a G3 curvature that basically means it fits perfectly in the small of your hand. We've added a degree of dust and water protection, particularly on the ports, the speaker, etc. Speaking of ports, on the bottom, we've included Type-C, basically a necessity at this point in my life. The all-important headphone jack is here to stay right now. And on top, we've included an IR remote. So you can use this to control TVs, please not this one, anyone in the audience, and TVs, air conditioning, etc. At this point, we cover over 6,000 different appliances globally. Now this is growing importance in Romania. This is our very first Redmi Note to ever offer NFC. So convenient for mobile payments, card emulation, or anything else you might need. So again, I can confidently say Redmi Note 8 Pro is going to be design royalty. We've got a really nice display on the front. It's going to be available in 3 stylish colors. We've enhanced connectivity, and we built it with really reliable Corning Gorilla Glass 5. It's also going to be the performance king. This is particularly important to me and will be to any of you other mobile gamers out there. So for anybody who knows, we're using MediaTek Helio G90T. This is their very first processor designed for gamers. Personally, I've tested this in basically every situation I possibly could, and I found that it more than held up. We can take a look at some benchmarks as a proof point for that. So right now I believe that this keeps it within the top 10 Antutu scores of any smartphone worldwide, but also outperforms some similar mid-range competitors by a great deal. Backing that up, we've included 6 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM. That's the fastest RAM commercially available on the market, and every single model will include 6 gigabytes. For storage, we're including up to 128 gigabytes of UFS 2.1 storage, and for anybody who needs a little bit more, we also have micro SD support. Now this is cool, unique, a little bit interesting. So this is the very first liquid cooling system we've ever put in a Redmi Note. It's a pretty rare feature globally. What this does is lower the temperature of the processor by about 4 to 6 degrees. It'll lower the overall device by a little bit less, about 2.3, but it'll also reduce the temperature of the charging IC. So when you're charging, it won't heat up the same way it usually does. Now on the left here, we've added what we're calling a Wi-Fi X antenna. Now that probably sounds super complicated, but for anybody who follows tech news, and I'm sure a lot of you do, you may remember a certain "you're holding it wrong" situation. The goal here is to make sure that no matter what you do when you're gaming, you're not holding it wrong. You'll always have an antenna that's stably accessing Wi-Fi. Now for people who know the Redmi Note series, or really Xiaomi at large, we're all about big batteries, and we wanted to maintain that with Redmi Note 8 Pro. So we're including a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. This is 500 larger than previous generation, and in day-to-day usage, it should get you about 2 days of moderate to heavy usage. Me personally, I charge every second night with this. In actual usage stats, and a lot of these are very impressive, especially considering a few years ago, 5 hours of screen on time was considered a lot. Got up to 19 and a half hours of video, 9 hours of gaming, nearly 20 hours of GPS, all pretty impressive. We fueled this with a lot of AI battery optimizations that help you make the most out of that big battery. And for when you do need to juice up, we've included 18-watt fast charging. It's compatible with a variety of different standards. For you audiophiles out there, we're using a 1217 super linear speaker. So in simple terms, what this means is we've upped the volume by a huge amount. With the Smart PA, we've actually increased volume range in the low range by about 60%. And in testing, this has outperformed certain competitors by 70 to 80% for maximum decibels. Stacking performance up on paper with some of our nearest competition, it's pretty clear who's ahead. Faster Antutu, bigger battery, and liquid cool technology. So again, and I'm sorry that I keep repeating myself on this, but I'm very confident that Redmi Note 8 Pro is going to be the performance king. It's fast, it's cool, and it's got a huge battery fueling it. Now, again, for anybody who knows anything about Redmi, at large, we're all about quality. This is incredibly important to us, so we really focus on king level quality. Me personally and the quality testing team do absolutely everything we can to break these devices before we go to market. That's so that even though we offer really great after-sales support, you don't need it. So, I'll guarantee it's king level quality, but now we're coming up to the section that I'm sure a lot of you are really, really curious about. Well, it's not king level pricing. To quickly summarize the device, on the back we've got a 64 megapixel quad camera, turning around, 20 megapixel front camera. Both sides are Corning Gorilla Glass 5. It's got a 2-day battery, headphone jack, NFC, Type-C, G90T. Huge amount of technology, really beautiful packaging. Similar competitors in the market will tend to start at about 3,000 lei. So we can see here that this is similar or better specs from the Redmi Note 8 Pro, and competitors typically starting at about 3,000 lei. Do you have any guesses in the audience, anybody who doesn't know the secret on what we're going to be pricing Redmi Note 8 Pro at? No? No guesses?
It's in the press release.
So, for our 6+64 model, we're going to be offering it on flash sale for the first 700 units at $10.99, starting the 16th of October. Now, I know people see this and they think we're going to dump the price up, but the reality is, we keep it low. Thereafter, it's going to be $11.99 regular sales. For people who want more storage, flash sale. First 250 units on the 16th of October for $11.99. And just 100 there, or 100 more thereafter. Super competitive pricing. When we stack it up next to the competitors, we can see that we have equal or better specs in most areas for about 40% of the price. This is always the Xiaomi philosophy. We want to offer the most honest price for the most amazing products. Typically, equal or better specs at half the price, and I think we've done that. So that's everything for Redmi Note 8 Pro. Really solid device, amazing value, and I'm really, really happy that this is a product we decided to first launch in the Romanian market. It'll be starting at just $11.99, and for availability, it'll be available first off offline in Mi stores and through Digi on the 21st of October, and online through these 5 distributors, again starting the 21st. For those of you who are joining us today from our distributors, I want to thank you, and we look forward to working more with you in the future. Now we've got a small smart surprise for people on the live stream today. We're also going to be launching our Mi handheld vacuum cleaner. Pretty phenomenal device. I've got one at home, and I think I use it more than anything else. It's something that my girlfriend's been appreciating a little bit. So the main benefit of this, at least for me personally, is the ability to avoid this. Dragging around cords, constantly tripping over your vacuum as you go. So we designed Mi handheld vacuum cleaner to be completely cord-free, easy to hold, really comfortable in hand, and not that heavy. You no longer have to change out bags. Whenever it's full, all you have to do is click a button, empty it out into a waste bin. It's extremely powerful, although it doesn't sound like it. It's actually still quite quiet. We've employed a really powerful brushless DC motor. It rotates at about 100,000 revolutions a minute, and the faster it spins, the more power it gives. We've included a 5-step filter. This is a HEPA filter, so if you happen to have dogs or cats, this is really, really useful. You can even disassemble and wash this if you need to. So, as air and dust is sucked into the vacuum, it will enter this first cyclone here. After that, it'll move to our second filter, the dust filter. Next, it'll go through our 9-cyclone technology. You can see each of those chambers right there is a cyclone. It'll enter our tree filter, and then finally, and most importantly for me, it'll enter our HEPA filter. So, this vacuum cleaner can efficiently separate dust particles using centrifugal force. This optimizes airflow and enables really, really powerful suction, enough to pick up a bowling ball actually if you want to. So it maintains really consistent but powerful suction, making sure you can easily clean your home. Capture, almost 100% of dust, 99.97% in fact. And will be included 4 different heads, so it's ready for a variety of different situations. To easily use these heads, you can remove the middle shaft and compress, so it's a perfect little handheld. Personally, I'll use this most in the middle format here, because it's particularly useful for cleaning cars or cleaning, say, a laptop, as you see on the right. On a single charge, it'll last about 30 minutes, so you can feel free to bring it out to your car, do a full cleaning, and then just bring it back inside. When you do get back inside, pretty simple to charge. Just throw it on a wall charging dock here, which is included with the product. Let's take a look at a fun little video. huge amount of technology just to help you keep your house clean. Pretty powerful little device. For price, the most important part. Typical devices in this category, your Dysons, your Electroluxes, etc., will cost about €399 to start. Well, we're going to be pricing this here in Romania at just $10.99. Huge amount of technology, really convenient, super affordable price. Make sure that you check it out in an experience zone or in stores when you have the opportunity. One last thing, and then I promise you can all listen to, or stop listening to me talk. Last thing we'll be launching is a mini LED smart bulb. So this presents both white and color options in a single product. You can adjust it really, really easily into, in fact, 16 million different color profiles. So if you want a purple room, you can have a purple room. You can adjust color, temperature, and brightness. So this is great for reading, entertaining, watching movies. We need a little bit of light, but you need it just perfect. You can easily control it through Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, or even Apple Home Kit. Or like I do, and this is actually my home here. It's kind of embarrassing that I have to keep showing people my house. You can control it really easily through the Mi Home app. As far as how long this will last, it'll last on average about 11 years. This is through 6 hours of usage per day. Of course, it'll vary based on individual conditions, but this is our standard testing. So, at 2 of them running just 179 lei, this actually turns out to be more cost-effective than standard bulbs. These are really convenient, really easy way to enhance your life, and actually save electricity by making sure that you never forget to turn your lights off before you leave your house. So, with this, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us here today.